Welcome back, mathematicians. We are on our last part of finding percents. So for the first video, you learned how to find the percent when you were given the part and the whole. For the second part, you were learning how to find the part when you were given the whole and percent. So for this last video, you were learning how to find the whole when you know the part and the percent. And again, we know that percents describe the part to whole relationships in terms of 100. So we're going to continue using the same tools we have before, which are the percent bar model and the proportion. So make sure that you get those down again. For our first example, we're going to be finding the whole. This time we know 18 is 50% of what number? So we know the 18 and we know the 50%, which is why we use this. So now we're going to use the pen tool to complete the model and solve the problem. And then we're going to check our answer. So if I know 18 is part of it, I know that 18 will be the other part. So to find the whole, I need to add all of those parts. So I can do 18 plus 18, or I can multiply 18 by 2 since I have 2 of those sections. That is up to you. So right now, go ahead and do that so we can figure out what this total amount will be. I decided to multiply by 2. 8 times 2 is 16. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, which means that my whole, my entire piece, will be 32. So 18 is 50% of 32. We're going to continue with the next example, which is 42 is 75% of what number? So we have broken up the bar model into our percent sections. So we had 0, 25, 50, 75, and I know that 42 is going up to be 75. Now what that means is we still need to find what this section over here is so that we can find our total. So I know that there are currently 1, 2, 3 sections that are filled up with that 42. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work a little backwards. I'm going to be dividing 42 by the 3 sections. 4 divided by 3 is 1. We're going to bring down the 2, so now we have 12 divided by 3, which is 4. So then I know that each one of those pieces over here is worth 14. Which also means that this missing piece over here is 14. So now to find my whole, I have 2 options. I can add 14 plus 14 plus 14 plus 14, or we can do 14 times 1, 2, 3, 4. So right now you choose which one you're going to do and come back to tell me what the total is. What is your whole? I'm going to go ahead and do 14 times 4. 4 times 4 gives me 16. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, which means that my whole, my total amount, is 56. 42 is 75% of 56. Just like before, I've shown you how to use your bar model. Now we're going to be using a proportion to do this. So we're going to fill in the proportion with the given values, simplify if possible, and we're going to use the scale factor to solve, just like we have for all the other videos. 8 is 20% of what number? Since I do not know the number, it means I do not know my whole. I do know that 8 is part of it, and that part is 20% out of 100%. And so now we're going to use this to go ahead and simplify and use the scale factor. So when I look at my fractions, I have 20 over 100. I know those can be simplified by 10. 20 divided by 10 gives me 2, and 100 divided by 10 gives me 10. And now I can use this to find my scale factor. Going from 2 to 8, I know that I needed to multiply by 4, and I'm going to use that to do 10 times 4 because it'll give me my whole. 10 times 4 gives me 40. So 8 is 20% of 40. For the next example, we have 21 is 30% of what number? Again, I don't know what the number is, which means I don't know my whole. And then I know that 21 is part of it, which is 30%. So we have filled in with the given values. Now let's simplify. What can 30 and 100 be divided by? What can they both be simplified by? For this one, again, it's divisible by 10. 30 can be divided by 10, which gives me 3. And 100 can be divided by 10, which gives me 10. So now I can use the scale factor to find my missing piece. I'm trying to go from 10 to x. So how did I go from 3 to 21? What scale factor did I have to use for that? If you said times 7, you are absolutely correct. 3 times 7 gave me 21, so 10 times 7 will give me my whole, which is 70. So 21 is 30% of 70. 15% of the iPods sold last month at Quality Electronics were pink. If 18 pink iPods were sold last month, how many total iPods were sold? So I don't know my total amount, which is how I know that I'm looking for the whole. There's 15% and there's 18. Right now I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. You choose. You can either do a bar model or you can do a proportion to go ahead and solve this problem. Alrighty, so I personally like the proportion better. So that's the way I'm going to use, that is what I'm going to use to solve this problem. So if I know that I have 15% out of 100%. I know that I do not know the total, but I do know that there's 18 that are pink. So the first step that I need to do is simplify my fraction now that I filled in my proportion. So what can both 15 and 100 be divided by? I can divide both of them by 5. 15 divided by 5 gives me 3. 100 divided by 5 gives me 20. And now I can use my scale factor to find my missing piece. So going from 3 to 18 will show me how to go from 20 to x. 3 times what gives me 18? 3 times 6 does. So I'm going to do 20 times 6, and that'll give me my total amount, my whole. 20 times 6 will give me 120 as my whole.